Welcome back, folks. It's Friday, June 14th, 2024. Now, born on this date in 1943, Muscle Shoals rhythm section keyboardist Spooner Oldham of Center Star in Lauderdale County. And in 1971, former New York Jets tight end Fred Baxter of Brundage. Today we have SPLC layoffs, a hospital ransomware attack, another delay on appointments involving Senator Tommy Tuberville, and we'll get back to our Friday quiz. This one will be a little different because rather than coming from the past week's news, the questions will come from the past 7 years that we've been doing the show. And I'll be the one taking it. I'm Mike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama. The Southern Poverty Law Center is laying off what is reported to be a significant number of employees, reports the Alabama Reflector. The SPLC is a Montgomery-based nonprofit civil rights litigation organization that's often cited for the list that it keeps of what it says are active hate groups. Opponents have argued that in some cases the list could have political motivations. The SPLC union said that at least 60 people are losing their jobs, but the center did not immediately release a number of positions being cut. The SPLC called the moves a streamlining of activities and operations. The union says it will hurt the center's racial justice mission. One of the more higher-profile ransomware cases affecting Alabamians recently was an attack on the computer systems of Ascension Health. Now, that company is based in St. Louis but runs 5 hospitals in the Birmingham area, including St. Vincent's, and Providence Hospital in Mobile is on some of Ascension's systems, even though it's been sold to the University of South Alabama. Now, the ransomware attack is believed to have gotten into the system when an employee accidentally downloaded a malicious file, reports AL.com's Howard Koplowitz. And don't you know that the employee will hear it from coworkers as they all go through the next round of anti-hacker training. The company says it looks like the attackers may have taken information from 7 of its 25,000 servers. It hopes to know what specific data was taken after an investigation. Ascension patients and associates may request free credit monitoring and identity theft protection from the company. Tommy Tuberville was a defensive back during his football playing days, but in the U.S. Senate, he's shown that he's not afraid to throw a block. Last year, of course, he set a blockade on hundreds of military promotions over the Defense Department's policies on helping personnel travel to receive abortions. Now he's joined 5 other Republican senators promising to refuse the fast-tracking of the Biden administration's judicial or U.S. attorney appointees, reports AL.com's William Thornton. Now, this is in response to former President Donald Trump's conviction for falsifying business records. The senators claim the conviction was an act of lawfare by the White House intended to damage the Trump presidential campaign. In a letter, the senators also vowed not to allow the fast-tracking of nominees who have suggested the prosecution of Trump was reasonable, agreed with the guilty verdict, or celebrated Trump's indictment, or have, quote, supported lawfare or censorship in other ways. Now, they say that they'll keep up the delaying tactic until Election Day, which is just 144 days away, folks. And then we can all go back to liking each other again. Well, I guess since we're that far in the year, we might as well put off until after the college football playoffs, the liking each other again part. Hey, let's take an ad break so we can feed the office cat, and then I get to take a 7-year review quiz. Oh, good. Y'all stay with us. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming back. We started this week talking a little bit about our 7-year anniversary and somewhere between 1,500 and 1,700 episodes that we've done, and kind of making this a moment to look back and reflect a little bit on how we got here. Today, we're going to do that a little more, and I'm not sure I like this at all, by the way. I'm doing this I'm doing this under protest because, you know, the quizzes we've been doing on Friday, and I'll bring usually a reporter on who's supposed to know all the news in Alabama, and then I try to embarrass them by making them miss questions on a news quiz. Well, they're turning that around on me today because I've been the host on this show the whole 7 years, and supposedly I know a little bit about Alabama news. I also what I did not mention to them was that I'm the guy who reads a book for the second time and don't remember that I've read it for the first time. So recall is not the strong point, but that's part of my giving excuses ahead of time tactic. Anyway, let's get with it. John Hammondtree is coming on the show. He is my supervisor and over podcasting for AL.com. And he came up with some questions he wanted to stump me on. And John, thanks for coming on and trying to embarrass me.
Well, Ike, turnabout's fair play. I couldn't get a perfect score on your quiz a few weeks ago, and so, I felt it was only fair that I got to ask you some questions. But, I do want to congratulate you on 7 years of Down in Alabama. Some of your listeners may know that I filled in for you on 2 episodes last week, and it about did me in. So, the fact that you've been able to do somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 of these things, and to do it reliably, to do it well, to do it with humor, and to give your listeners all of the news that they need. I know you won't toot your own horn enough, but I just want to thank you for doing that. You're the way I start my morning. You're the way I stay in touch with the state. And if some of you are listening at home or listening on the drive, and you haven't before, please help us grow this show by just going and leaving us a 5-star rating and telling everybody how much you love Ike, and sharing it with your friends, because you've also joined with me in trying to grow this show in new and unexpected ways over the last few weeks, and adding in these different elements. And it's been fun to work with you on it.
Well, God bless you, brother. I appreciate your help. And God bless the readers. 4 stars at least when you go on there and do that. What?
All right. Well, I've got 7 questions for you to celebrate 7 years of the podcast.
Multiple choice, I hope.
So we're going to start with question 1. All multiple choice, of course. One spelling question, but all multiple choice. 2017, of course, may have been the year that this podcast launched. It may have been one of the newsiest years in Alabama history. We had Governor Bentley resign in scandal. We had a state house rep plead guilty to bribery charges. We had the rebirth of UAB football. We had an Alabamian who became U.S. Attorney General. We had a special election here that caught the eyes of the world and then turned into one of the biggest political upsets in state history. But I'm not going to ask you about any of those things. What I want to ask you is, 12 inmates escaped an Alabama jail in September 2017 after they used what substance to cover a door number and trick a young jailer into opening access to the outside? Was that substance A, duct tape, B, a washcloth, C, peanut butter, or D, silly putty?
C, peanut butter. Next question. Make it harder this time.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. All right. In 2018, a production of Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird became a Broadway sensation. The new take on the script was written by Aaron Sorkin and starred which Oscar-winning actor as Atticus Finch? A, Colin Firth, B, Jeff Daniels, C, Gary Oldman, or D, Matthew McConaughey?
Whoa, I expected to hear a name and I didn't hear it. Could you run through those again for me?
I will. A, Colin Firth, B, Jeff Daniels, C, Gary Oldman, or D, Matthew McConaughey?
I thought it was John Boy. He played Atticus.
Well, he is in the touring production that's doing it right now, but the role on Broadway was originated by one of these 4.
Now, how great is John Boy? He played is playing Atticus Finch now, and he played Hank Jr. in a movie in 1980-ish. I don't know. I'm going to say C, Gary Oldman.
No, I bet he would be great on it, but it was B, Jeff Daniels of Dumb and Dumber fame.
I'm sure Jeff Daniels is great.
Who I'm told was great at it. Yeah, John Archibald saw that show and liked it.
Surely he was great. He was great in those playing, I believe, different roles in the with the Gettysburg trilogy that came from.
Oh yeah. Well, but I will say I saw the traveling production with John Boyd, Richard Thomas, John Boyd Walton in the role, and he was terrific on it. I saw it when it came through Birmingham.
Yeah, he did.
All right, I told you there'd be a spelling question. So, in 2019, Aaron Howard, a Huntsville 8th grader at the time, became the city's first co-champion of the Scripps Howard National Spelling Bee. After 20 after 20 rounds, eight spellers remained, and the bee apparently ran out of words for them to spell and named all 8 remaining contenders the co-champions. Which of these 4 words, and I won't make you spell it, but which of these 4 words was Howard's final word? A, Tulasan, B, erysipelas, C, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, or D, Witchadidya?
Well, if I had a lifeline, I would call Jeff Foxworthy, and he would tell me it was D. The first 2 words both sounded familiar, like they had been in these kinds of stories. And although I'm not even going to try to pronounce, let alone spell them, I'm going to guess B.
You are right. All right. So you are 2 for 3 so far. She did have to spell both of those words. Tulasan was the word, I think one of the words that may have tripped her up, but her final word was erysipelas, I believe is how I'm going to pronounce it. You may remember that 2020 was a pretty busy and newsy year. Or maybe not so busy. Maybe a lot of us were sitting around twiddling our thumbs, but it was definitely a newsy year. And you may remember the name Jean Marazzo, who served as the director of UAB's Division of Infectious Diseases. Yes. And she was on the cutting edge of COVID-19 research, and she was at the forefront of the state's public awareness efforts, just all around a very nice woman. In 2023, she took on a new role. What was it? Is she now A, the director of the NIH's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, B, the director of the CDC, C, the Surgeon General, or D, Secretary of Health and Human Services?
I'm gonna go with A.
That's right. She took over for Anthony Fauci. God love her. We'll wish her all the best. All right. In 2021, stop me if you've heard this before, but in 2021, once again, Alabama failed to pass a lottery bill. But the state legislature did surprisingly pass legislation that would do what? A, allow alcohol to be delivered. B, authorize medical marijuana. Or C, spend $1 billion. Spend $1 billion on new prison construction. Or D, all of the above.
Here's what's crazy. What's making this quiz more difficult than the weekly quiz is having to remember these details from years ago. And when you said lottery and 2021, I'm like, how in the world am I supposed to remember what happened with lottery bills by year, because we get so many of them? But I'm lucky because yesterday's podcast, I made reference to it being 3 years since medical marijuana passed.
That's right. But it is D, all of the above.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah, so that was when alcohol allowed to be delivered, which was something people were demanding during the pandemic. And we authorized the spending of $1 billion on new prison construction. Although at the time, we said we were going to be getting 2 prisons for our $1 billion. And I think now we're just getting 1 prison. The price apparently, the price has gone up in the last 3 years.
The price went up quickly and fast and high, but then so did the price of everything else. And I hate it when we have to give public officials the benefit of the doubt on these things. When they said construction went up, we're like, well, yeah, I just, you can't build a deck in the backyard for $5,000 anymore.
Well, and I think our colleague Kyle Whitmire has charted this sort of project. At first, I think it was 4 men's prisons and a women's prison for $1 billion back in about 2018, and now we're down to, the number keeps going up in terms of the cost, and the number of the prisons goes down. Yeah. But c'est la vie.
Yeah.
In 2022, the Supreme Court of the United States ordered the state of Alabama to do what? A, respond to public records requests in a timely fashion. B, redraw our congressional districts. C, become a basketball state. Or D, manufacture electric cars.
It is B, redraw the congressional districts.
That's right. It's just coincidence that we've suddenly become a basketball state. The court did not intervene.
This is
in that way.
The free market still rules around here, Buddy Rowe.
All right, and your final question. I think right now you are 4 for 6.
I'm ashamed of it.
You missed 2. You're 4 for 6.
I'm ashamed of it.
This is a lot of time to cover. In 2023, a brawl erupted on a riverfront, leading to a viral video and plenty of days of conversation and jokes on the internet. Where did this riverfront brawl take place? A, Florence. B, Demopolis. C, Montgomery. Or D, Gadsden?
Montgomery's got the answer.
That's right. All right. Pretty good. 5 of 7, covering 7 years. That's not too bad.
Well, one was all of the above, and I just couldn't get my timelines right. And what was the other one that I missed? Because I'm going to lose sleep over that tonight.
It was I'll give you a half credit for knowing that John Boy Walton is playing Atticus right now. You just didn't know who originated the role of Atticus on Broadway.
Yeah. I have not been to a Broadway show in quite some time.
Well, it's
a long way.
That one was recently in Huntsville and recently in Birmingham, and if you get the chance to see it, it's a pretty good retelling. But all told, 7 years, that's a lot of knowledge to retain. You remember the peanut butter, you remember the spelling bee words, you remember the riverfront brawl. I'll tell you what, when I was looking through all of these stories, you've covered a lot of time in these last 7 years. A lot of stuff has happened.
Yeah, you put together a great quiz too. I mean, that was a pretty good review. I think listeners will get something out of it, because the idea with these quizzes and a lot of these second segment things we do is that it actually introduces information that's new to some people or that they could have forgotten. So I think this was a cool tool. I had a ball taking it. And folks at home, thank y'all so much for putting up with us and listening to us and sticking with us all these years. We're gonna start right up where we left off, bright and early Monday morning. Between now and then, come by and see us anytime you want to on the internet at al.com.